Persona 4 is a Japanese RPG from Atlus. It's a massive story-rich game, so I want to put my spoiler warning first. I played Persona 4, 3 and 5 in that order, so I have a lot to say about it. I want to go through all of the story and some of the side stories and comment them on the go. But first, let's talk about technical stuff.
Welcome. It's been quite some time.
Persona 4 has two main game aspects, social and battle. Social is relatively simple and called social links. You find characters and spend time with them. In these events, you get to react to your social link. And if you answer right, you get points. If you have the right persona, we will come to personas in the battle section, you also get bonus points. Social ranks go from 1 to 10, and you need a certain number of points to advance these ranks. If you don't have enough points, your relationship is not ready to advance, and you have to spend time with the characters to get points, or by other various methods. You also need certain attributes like knowledge to advance some of the social links. Social links are integrated in the battle system. Like many Japanese RPGs, the battle is turn-based. But in addition to that, enemies, you and your teammates with up to 4 total party members have strengths and weaknesses to certain elements. Hit with an element, the enemy is weak to, and you get a 1 more, and the enemy is downed. If you chain correctly and down all enemies, you can get an all-out attack, which usually ends the battle.
If it were only that easy.
But be careful, if an enemy hits your weakness, he also gets a 1 more. At the start you don't know these weaknesses, and you go with try and error. The weaknesses and immunities an enemy has are saved, so if you go through a dungeon again, you probably will know all the weaknesses of your enemies. The weaknesses and abilities of your team is based on which persona each of you has equipped. The personas of your allies are fixed, but yours is not. You can get a persona at the end of a battle and equip them. These personas come with different abilities and also weaknesses. If you build your persona right, it can become immune to almost any damage. Let's go back to the social links. If you have built up the social links with your teammates, they get abilities like following up an attack of yours or surviving a fatal blow. Another use of the social links you can find in the Velvet Room. Igor, who you also see in the opening cutscene, can help you fuse personas and also resummon them for money. I mean, the car looks expensive, so no wonder he wants money. Fusing 2 or more personas creates a new one, and you can inherit skills from the base personas used in the fusion. Each persona is aligned with an arcana, and so are the social links. If the social link is high and you fuse a persona of the same arcana, it gets an experience boost. That's the gist of it. There are some minor additions, but let's ignore them for now.
That was a breeze.
The selling point of Persona is the mix of slice of life and JRPG. Each part alone would not be much to talk about, but combining it with story, soundtrack and an amazing voice acting, to be honest, it becomes more than the sum of its parts. Is the story good? Let's find out.
Run an investigation, got it?
You start with a cutscene and meet Igor and Margaret, who threw some cryptic speech at you. Then you come to Inaba and meet your family, your uncle Ryotaro Dojima and Nanako, your cousin.
What if you made a promise with me? Could you stay then?
Come on, Nanako. Don't pout. Everyone came here to hang out, right?
They talk about how you will be staying with them for about a year. On the way home you stop at a gas station, and I want you to remember this point. It will be important. Then you come home and you get used to your new living space. On the TV there's a report about an announcer who has an affair. This is important for the story. The next day you go to school and meet Yusuke Hanamura, Yukiko Amari and Shi Satonaka.
Why can't I be smarter?
But doesn't it sound like fun? Bright sun, the glistening waves, that luscious scent drifting from nearby stands, the dripping of meat juices.
On the way home you come to a crime scene with a corpse. The announcer from the news this morning is dead. You also meet Adachi, the assistant of Dojima, who is by the way a detective.
This case is as good as solved.
The next day, you meet Saki Konishi, Yosuke's one-sided love interest, and ask her about the corpse, because she found it. In school you already heard about the Midnight Channel rumor. It goes like this. If you stand before a TV at midnight, on rainy days, the TV goes on and shows you a person. You try that out and indeed it does. For some reason you can enter the TV. You tell your friends in school and they don't believe you, because it sounds crazy. Till a little demonstration in the local supermarket called Junes eradicates their doubts. You get into the television, which is clouded by fog, and by exploring you go into a creepy room where the pictures of the dead announcer are shredded all over the room, and there's also a very uncomfortable arrangement of rope and chair. Then going back you meet this creature. Its name is Teddy, and it's a bear-like creature which is hollow inside, like most people in real life. Contrary to most people, he's friendly and helps you out of the TV. The next day, when it's foggy, Saki is dead. You previously saw a silhouette which resembled her on the Midnight Channel, and you start to make the connection. Who appears on the channel dies. You want to find out what's going on and go with Yusuke into the TV world to ask Teddy, who confirms your suspicions. After that, you will awaken your persona and have your first combat. As Teddy says, someone is throwing people inside the TV with the intent to kill them.
So someone's killing people with the TV? What is he, beating them to death?
Later you find out that Yukiko is also appearing on the Midnight Channel just after she gave an interview. But she has not vanished yet. Later then she disappears and the show on the Midnight Channel can be seen very clearly. And you decide to save Yukiko. You now can have Yusuke accompany you after he has make up with his inner self, which is called Shadow, the same name as the other enemies even though it's different. When you go searching for Yukiko, she runs forward alone. The teenagers are not fit to make important decisions, especially if life's on the line. Charging ahead without weapons in a clearly hostile environment is the best example for this, and it's the godlike plot armor and luck that keeps them alive, as well as the story. She also meets her own shadow. You defeat it and she becomes a party member till I get a better one, which is Annie. This is also something video games do very often. They structuralize certain plot points. Each character has the same procedure. They are kidnapped, they meet their own shadow, then say the same thing every time. After that, they are rescued in the same manner, the same conditions, the same outcome. Every time. The characters may look different, but the story is the same soup in different cans. JRPGs, in my opinion, are almost always guilty of that, but Western RPGs are not free of those charges either.
Come on, it's not that bad. That's just your opinion.
You might notice that the characters are wearing glasses inside the TV. That is because, with the glasses on, made by Teddy, they can see through the fog inside the TV. It never comes up how Teddy makes them or if any glasses could do. My guess is not. This is of course fine, not every detail in a story needs to be explained. It is fine for minor details. For major plot points, however, it's not. And that's the tutorial, after about 2 hours.
Damn it. Now that I think about it, we haven't gotten anywhere.
This is also one of the strongest points against Persona. The tutorial is way too long, and I think it pushes many players away. An intro should just be that. An intro, introducing the player and then going on to core gameplay. In all honesty, I never played a game outside of the Persona series, which has a 2 hours long intro.
This ain't the time for bitching and moaning. We just gotta keep on keeping on.
This, however, is the core gameplay, and it goes like this. You have a time limit and you can now spend your day however you want. You can rescue Yukiko right away or wait till it rains. After 2 days of rain, the time's up and it's game over, so don't be idle for too long. You can spend your time eating to get stats, make friends or go fishing. There are many activities and in the course of the game it will become the main content. The other part, the dungeons, are really bad. About at the third dungeon, you just want to get over with it and return to your social life. What you can't dismiss, however, is how much meaning the dungeons give to social life and vice versa. With the interconnectivity between those seemingly unrelated game aspects, both parts become important. If you just take the social part for example, it is basically just a visual novel, and I don't enjoy those kind of games. But with the dungeons, it becomes much more enjoyable. When you have your social link available and ready to advance, he or she will usually come to you and ask you to spend time with them. This becomes very funny if you have multiple available at once. It looks like they are drawing numbers and wait for their turn to speak to you. Your day has usually two parts, after school and evening. At the start you think there are two limitations. SP for dungeon content and time slots for social content. But that's actually not true. You can get unlimited SP, which is used for skills by the way. The way you do that is by clearing the first floors of the dungeon again and again. And by going into New Game Plus, the time is also limitless. But most players want to be as effective as possible, which will lead to some discomfort. Because you don't always can do every activity. It depends on the day and the weather. And on the map there is no indicator for what's available, so you travel around the whole town to find out what you can do, which will take up a lot of your time. If I would have to guess, about 30% of my time spent with Persona was about how to spend my time in Persona. When you rescue Yukiko, she will argue with her own shadow and not accepting it. This causes the shadow to go rampage, and you have to defeat it. This happens with most of the characters in the same way. It is very convenient that you come to the rescue just on time as this argument happens. Yukiko tells the group after she has been saved that she can't remember much, and the investigation team thinks that she was targeted because of her connection to the murderer. The first victim was the announcer who stayed at the Amari Inn, which is run by Yukiko's parents. The second victim found the body and Yukiko merely spoke with both. At this point you might also wonder why they don't tell anybody who isn't a teen, and yeah, it's never explained. They say some gibberish about how the police is useless because they don't know about the TV world, but I could just show them. Dojima seems like an upright guy, and sending a team into the TV world instead of a bunch of kids who charged in headless, I want to remind you, would be way better. Both police and the investigation team wants the same thing. Before they saved Yukiko, however, there was an argument, because maybe the police would have not been able to save Yukiko, and would have prevented you from going in, because you can't send 3 teenagers into danger to save one, because some people who are clearly not involved in the writing have a little something called logic. But after they prevented Yukiko's demise, this reason would have vanished. No one is in danger, but those 4 braindeads are thinking they should solve the case by themselves and find the murderer.
Listen, this is a job for the police.
You first get involved in the social content of the game, till the story progresses, improving stats and so on. And one day there's an interview on the TV with a local delinquent called Kanji. And after that he appears on the Midnight Channel, but blurry, like with Yukiko. The group tries to ask him, but he's not very cooperative. So after he's kidnapped and put into the TV, the image can be seen clearly. And the group has to rescue Kanji. They go into the gay cave, and I think it's the right time to say something about the Persona series. Most of them have themes, and Persona 4 has sexuality as a main theme, and I think that's very good, because sexuality, especially the ones that don't conform with the general standard, can cause a lot of stress for the human psyche, and this lets people to suppress their shadows, also in real life. Conquering your shadow and accepting other parts of you, that is a huge part of Persona, and Kanji is gay, and this is a huge deal in many Asian nations like Japan. Other sexualities are still shunned there, so you can say that Kanji's suppression of those feelings are understandable. What's not understandable is that the game goes there but chickens out after that. After his rescue, it only comes up in awkward jokes instead of embracing it, and making him a properly gay character. The same is true for relationships in the game.
What I mean is, are we gonna be safe alone with you? What? What the hell's that supposed to mean?
You can have a relationship with most of the female cast, but other characters can't. There are some romantic feelings, but removing a character from the waifu pool is covertly avoided.
How's it going?
Good morning.
Oh yeah, I'm on duty today. Well, see you later.
Every female classmate needs to be available to the protagonist and can have no other love interest. because if there would be a non-evil, gay or ugly competition, the player would feel discomfort, and this makes this world that feels very much alive kinda unrealistic.
Damn it! I was so pumped about finding the penguin today.
Penguin?
The secret animal cracker! You were eating them and you didn't know that?
Okay, back to the bathhouse. You rescue Kanji and he tells you that he didn't see the culprit and he just went to answer the door. And then everything went black. However, Kanji did not have a connection to the first murder victim. And so the team discards the theory that the murders, or attempted murders to be exact, are linked to the first one.
But if so, what's the motive? Why kill someone just because they were on TV?
You also decide to get a scooter license, which enables you to go to Okina and the beach. Both locations offer you activities, side quests and shops.
I think motorcycles are the hot new thing for guys now. Girls like guys who spend time outdoors, right?
After engaging in your social life, you meet Rise or Risette, her stage name. She is a pop idol and comes to Inaba to help out in the shop of her grandmother. You see a report that evening, and after that she appears on the Midnight Channel. This leads your team investigating her and you ask around. Dojima and Adachi are also there and are getting suspicious of you.
Did one of them happen to look... how do I put it? Did he look something like a gang member?
Wait, you think she's talking about your nephew and his friends?
After a while, she also disappears and the show becomes clear again. You now have to go save her.
This spring, one young girl levels up to become a high school idol! Yay!
Starting with Rise, you also need to find out more about the victims in danger, to find them inside the TV. This is pretty boring from a gameplay and story perspective. You run around and ask random people till you get a clue. This can stretch over days later. Throughout the game, most characters and social links develop, and we should look at some, because they are a big part of the game. One social link, for example, is Yumi, which you meet after joining the drama club. During her story, she tells you that her father left her family for a younger girl and is now terminally ill, and came back. Yumi's mother cares for him in the hospital. This upsets her, of course, and she does not want to see him, but later reconciles and stays by his side as he dies. Nanako, your niece, also is a social link and is heavily intertwined with Dojima's social link, and you find out more about their family situation. I think both Nanako and Dojima are the strongest social links in the game, and from an emotional perspective, especially later, they both outshine the whole cast of Persona 3 and 5. Ryotaro Dojima, which will I call by his family name because everyone in the game does so, is tormented by his wife's death. It was a hit and run and the suspect was never found. He seeks justice and is ready to sacrifice many things. He neglects Nanako for that, and she grows up very fast. At first I was pretty angry at Dojima. Nanako cooks, does the laundry and keeps the household together. And she's only 6 years old. And she is so happy to go out playing with strangers her cousin brought with him. That makes me think that she has a lacking social life. But Dojima is also in a very tragic state of constant torment. He should socialize with Nanako but is unable to. He deeply cares for her whenever he can. The stories and social interactions are about 80% reason why I play the Persona series, because the combat and dungeons are not really stellar. I'm happy for the tremendous changes Persona 5 brought to the dungeon crawling, and anyone who wants to play 4 after 5 has my sympathy, as he or she has to go down some level in their expectations.
Hey, Nanako-chan, let's do it again sometime. Next time, we'll do it right, at the beach. Seconded!
Whoa, does that mean we get another chance to see you in bathing suits? Oh, but there probably aren't enough days left. We'll have to do it next year.
I will not go through every social link, but I wanted to show some so you can see what Persona is about, at least for me. Your team also develops through the main story, and so does Teddy. He wonders what he is and suspects already that he is a shadow.
I'm a pretty shabby bear. Soon, I won't be useful at all. Then I'll get thrown away.
When you rescue Risette, Teddy brings forth his own shadow and joins your team as a fighter.
Close your eyes. Lie to yourself. Live in blissful ignorance. It is a much smarter way to exist.
Rise is your combat advisor with benefits. of buffs and heal. Lisette also don't know much about her kidnapper, but the investigation team thinks the killer targets people that appear on the Midnight Channel. Then Teddy appears and has grown a body.
It's so hot! Whoa! What the? Much better.
No way!
What kind of creature would do that?
Which comes as a surprise, and this bear seems to be in mating season.
I trained and trained, hoping to someday score with Chie-chan and Yuki-chan, and now I finally have an inside!
Yeah, good job with that.
Then a third murder happens, and the team thinks the killer gave up on kidnapping, and the true culprit is a student from a different school. It turns out that he's just a copy killer later, and was also put into TV. You save him and he is put into jail. I also made Yukiko my girlfriend. This may sound strange, but in most video games the player is the only active role, which means that the player decides to date someone. Relationships in video games usually work like this. Pick the right answer enough times, and boom, you have a girlfriend.
I love you.
This problem, however, is something that can't be circumvented easily, and I will not attempt that. The reward for getting a girlfriend? You not have to spend time with her anymore. Yeah, this is also a problem in the Persona games. If you max out a social link, there's absolutely no reason to hang out with them anymore. So even if you have Yukiko or someone different as your girlfriend, you won't do much together besides Valentine's Day and Christmas Eve.
Senpai?
Sure enough. One strike.
Back to the story, the team thinks that the murder attempts should stop soon, but realize that it doesn't. Naoto, which came up a few times during the investigation, is kidnapped next. She is a high school detective, which is something Persona also does in 5.
I lost both my parents in an accident. I was still young, so my grandfather took me in. I was inept at making friends, so I spent my time reading detective novels in my grandfather's study. My parents were proud of their job. I had no qualms about following in their footsteps. An inherited occupation can feel stifling to many, but I welcomed it. I yearned for the day I could be a detective myself. Perhaps I inherited that desire from them as well. I was always alone. Seeing that, my grandfather must have believed it was his duty to help me realize my dream. I secretly aided my grandfather with his clients, and before I knew it, people started calling me Junior Detective.
She can't do shit and you still have to save her though. She reveals that she put herself purposely in danger to catch the culprit, but did not find out much more than the others, which makes her methods pretty questionable. If you expect to be kidnapped, you could at least put a security camera or something else on.
If it were only that easy.
You also get some warning letters. The killer seems to put them into your mailbox and he warns you not to save anybody else. You also socialize in between those murder investigations and getting blackmail letters. You go to festivals, school trips, getting drunk in a club, etc. All those little interactions with your teammates makes you socialize with them and they feel alive. They also have interactions without you off screen. In Persona 5, for example, the social links felt like without you, the whole group would not be together. You were the center of everything.
That's awesome. Pretty.
Wow! No, don't listen to him.
Stop messing with her, Teddy.
Sometimes you're unbearable. Was that supposed to be a joke? Oh, looks like this one's a doozy.
Oh, you're right. Beautiful. Ted, fire!
In Persona 4 it really feels like a group of friends. With Naoto being kidnapped, the group realized that the case is not over. Some days later there's again a warning letter, and Nanako is kidnapped. But this time the group realizes who is the culprit, Namatami. Namatami was the person who had an affair with the announcer, and after getting fired he got a job as a delivery man. He also had a TV in the truck. You tell Dojima and he gives chase and they crash.
Hang in there, Nanako.
Daddy's coming for you.
Which is really stupid, because if Nanako was in there, she easily could have been killed by the crash. Does Dojima think that the kidnapper would put the safety of the victim first, with safety belt and all? Well, Namatame and Nanako are nowhere to be found, and presumably they went into the TV.
This is Nanako-chan's? It's so beautiful. It's like a storybook vision of heaven.
Like heaven, huh? Deep down, Nanako-chan must really miss her.
I'm sure she does. She's only a child. We have to do everything in our power to rescue her.
Like always, you save Nanako and catch Namatame. Both are unconscious and in the hospital. Dojima was also hospitalized after the crash. You finally seem to have catched the murderer and everything is going to be alright. But then a strange fog comes into Inaba, and the group confirms with their classes that it is a supernatural fog from the other side of the TV, and people are getting sick.
This fog is poison! It's a gas filled with viruses! Don't inhale the fog, or you'll die!
He's not the first one like that I've seen lately.
Poisonous gas, though?
Oh, I'm sure it's not true.
Oh.
Is something wrong?
Oh my. I think I'm coming down with something.
You can't be serious. Oh, that's right. I needed to do some grocery shopping. Well then.
The strange and funny thing is that some people cover outside. It just seems strange to me that you wake up in the morning and go into town and then cover in the street every day, like it's your job. As if that is not enough, Nanako's condition is getting worse and she dies, which is really emotional.
Daddy...
Nanako-chan! Nanako-chan! Can you hear us? Do you understand what we're saying? Your big brother's here with you. Just hang in there. Where's Dojima-san?
We're calling for him right now.
Big Bro... I'm scared. Big Bro... Dad... Daddy...
Nanako! Nanako! I'm sorry, sir.
No!
Damn it! Damn it!
Nana-chan.
The group is furious and gets to Namatame and wants to kill him themselves by putting him into the TV.
Please, stop!
He wants us to stop. What should we do?
What do you mean?
We can't let this bastard do whatever he pleases.
Still, what are you going to do?
No way I'm gonna walk out of here doing nothing.
I understand, but...
This must be a luxury suite. Most hospital wards don't have such large televisions. Why, with something like this in the room, this man could escape at any time. Although once he enters, he may find there's no way out.
Wait a second. You don't mean... Are you... serious?
You just gonna turn your back and walk away?
But... What's gotten into you guys? This is crazy! How can we do something like that?
Chie! Everyone, listen to me. If we're gonna do this, now is our only shot. We won't get a second chance. At this rate, the guy's gonna get off the hook, and he'll go around saving people again. You just heard what this bastard's really thinking. If that happens, it'll be just like Nanako-chan and Senpai. Who knows how many innocent people will die this time? I can't let something like that go. Someone close to me died. Her killer can't be convicted. And now I'm gonna let the same thing happen again? There's no way I can do that! It's just wrong, isn't it?
But... Yosuke...
All we have to do is push him inside the TV. That's it. We do that one thing, and this is all over.
And this is the point where I have one of my biggest criticism, not only for the Persona games, but for most JRPGs in general. During the game you are often asked something, and no matter what you answer, it will always get the same result. You don't have a choice, but the game gives you 2 to 4 fake answers, and they never matter. Why giving me the option in the first place? The game is blatantly lying to the player that he or she has different options, which she does not have. But at this point, with Namatame, the choices suddenly do matter, and this makes it worse, because you might not know this. Up till now, nothing you answer ever mattered, but suddenly it decides if you get a bad ending or if you pursue the true culprit. Yes, you heard right, Namatame is the one who puts people into the TV, but he's not the killer. If you choose to spare him, the game continues till February, and you can get the good or true ending.
Then tell me if my estimation is correct so far. After discovering the Yamano and Konishi incidents, you realized an appearance on the Midnight Channel meant certain death. Thus, to save her from that fate, you kidnapped Yukiko Amagi. You couldn't let her be killed, so you threw her into the TV, preventing the killer in this world from reaching her. And you repeated the process, as more individuals appeared on the Midnight Channel. It all falls into place. His body is weak, but his mind is sound. He's trying to tell us the truth.
Yeah, but if the stuff he's saying is true...
There's another killer who murdered the first 2 victims?
Another strange thing is if you kill Namatame, Nanako stays dead, but if you spare him, she comes around, which doesn't make sense.
Nanako-chan's alive?
Are you serious?
It's very rare to be resuscitated after one's heart and lungs fail, but it does happen. But until I know why she collapsed in the first place, I can't say for sure how well she'll recover from here on. Still, Nanako-chan's a fighter, and she's trying desperately to stay alive.
So this isn't a joke? You're actually telling the truth?
Nanako-chan... Oh my god!
This is amazing!
Miracles do happen. I'm so glad.
I didn't know what I was gonna do! Come on! Stop crying, you two!
Also, the time between Nanako's rescue and the end of the deadline is awkward, as you never visit her or Dojima. It feels like they are just on vacation. Your character doesn't even worry. He's just doing his usual stuff. The true culprit is Adachi. Up till now he was more of a comic relief character, but he was the one who killed the first 2 victims. Namatame has seen his affair and Saki Konishi, the schoolgirl, on the Midnight Channel, and after the 2 were found dead, he knew that something was off. The police could not help, so he takes matters into his own hand. He thought that if he puts the people that are about to be killed into the TV, they are saved, and funnily enough, they are, by you. His action worked and there were no murders anymore, so he never doubted his methods. Putting people into the TV was not saving them. Adachi just enjoyed the show after the first 2 murders. You confront him and he flees and hides in the TV.
Isn't that amazing? Of all the people who could have received Namatami's call, it ended up being me. Talk about luck! All I did was give him a little push, and he completely bought into his vision of this world. The more people you guys saved, the more he'd kidnap. Both sides had the best of intentions, so the game of cat and mouse would never end. It was awesome.
You have till the end of December. Best day to go in is however the 22nd, because this time, if you go earlier, time will skip until the 23rd, where you have a date with your girlfriend. I have forgotten this and had to reload because I chased him very early and lost some days.
Why? What reasons could you have for doing that?
Reasons? None, really. I could do it, that's all. And it was fun. I guess that's my reason?
You murdered people just for the fun of it?
Come on, all I did was put people in here. I didn't murder them. And Namatame did most of it. I had nothing to do with any of you.
You're just dodging the blame!
Adachi is a real nutjob. He has done the murder out of jealousy and the pure joy of it. It's refreshing because not every big bad needs to have all those conspiracies and hidden agendas. The world is full of psychopaths and having a villain just being crazy is okay once in a while. After you have defeated him, he transforms into a mythological being, which states that mankind wishes for the end and is just fulfilling the wishes of the masses, which Persona does strangely often. You say no and beat him up.
One awakened by man's desires. Do what you will, but your world's erosion cannot be stopped. It is an inevitability. You played your part well, stirring up the will of the masses into madness. But that will soon come to an end. Mankind will soon become shadows and live on in the darkness of the fog, oblivious of their reality.
What the hell are you? Why are you doing this?
I am the one that shepherds humans to their true desires. Though their hearts longed for peace, it could never be attained. So they tore down the wall between image and reality. Indeed, this is the outcome desired by mankind, and mankind's desires are my desires. That is why I decided to expand this world.
Adachi is arrested and the incident is resolved, and for some time you do busy work. In Golden there were added 2 social links, Adachi and Marie, a girl who has amnesia and is really difficult. I don't like her. You need to max out both for the true ending.
This is a memory. A new memory. One that has no ties to who I was before. I can feel it now. It makes me happy. When we were looking at clothes, your friends told me something. There are things that you can't do by yourself, but can do with others. That's true. You gave me a new memory. You taught me that I don't need to be worried. I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. I only realized that because of you.
If you have maxed out Marie, she will vanish because she remembers that she is a god and she wants to kill herself to keep the fog away. After a skiing trip with your friends, you find an old TV and Marie's in there.
Dude, you too! Is this really your first time snowboarding?
Just gotta keep your balance, right?
Whoa!
Senpai! You're too fast!
You gotta open up your stance. Do you get it? Come on.
It's easier said than... Huh?
Whoa! Damn, that hurt.
Oh, so sorry!
Sorry.
You owe me a date! You won't win!
For some reason it is just that one TV and you only have one day. It is a big coincidence that I find the right TV on a trip right on time.
Why? Why do you come? Why? I told you I'm your enemy. That you don't need to bother with me. Why did you come this far? Thank you, but it won't do you any good. I'm tired. I just want to end it all.
You save Marie and she accepts who she is and will live in your world from now on.
Don't tell me! Is this like in the movies where once the bad guy's defeated, his evil fortress self-destructs?
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. I don't need to be in this place to die anymore, so it's gonna disappear.
Before you return home and leave Inaba behind, you see everyone you shared a bond with. And here's another bullshit moment, because you need to speak to specific persons to find out that there is another god to beat. The bad thing about this is you need to go to one location twice, and this is something most players will not do. You will find out that the gas station attendant is the big evil god that gave Adachi, Namatame and you, the protagonist, their powers. It is very sudden and doesn't feel good.
You really are troublesome. Not only did you defeat the two Sagiri I snuck into Adachi and Namatame, but you even saved that stunted dwarf of a life. You certainly have the powers I was expecting. I saw the potential you had within you. Your friends were drawn to the spark I stirred in you. That's why they're here now, with their awakened powers. Still, I didn't think you'd make it all the way to me. Indeed, I never expected this at all. You're really something.
I am Izunami. Amino Sagiri, ruler of the fog, is merely an aspect of myself that I birthed long ago. You awakened to a power I had not imagined. You defeated the two Sagiri and the one fragment born from me.
This is the only end boss that is a gas station attendant I've ever heard about. I will give the game that. You go through the dungeon and kill the god with some cringe. I don't want to go deep into that, because it seems very like a last minute boss, or some bonus dungeon. It doesn't fit very good in the story and the game would be better if left out.
This can't be. How could I be defeated? How am I the one to disappear? Instead of the endless struggle, wouldn't it be easier to wrap oneself in lies and live in blissful ignorance? Isn't that true peace for humans?
How many times do we have to tell you? The hell with that shit!
Stop assuming you know us!
Very well. Then try and live your way. Power enough to erase my existence. You have already exceeded what I thought humanity to be capable of. You have lifted the fog in this world, as well as the fog in your own. And whether that will lead to happiness or not, rests upon your shoulders.
You return after 1 year as an epilogue and see how everyone is doing, and that's Persona 4. It will always be special for me, as it was the first game that I've played which combined slice of life and combat. I like the overall story and have mixed feelings about the social links. I think if you want to make 10 or so different storylines with numerous characters, which are also different, they will be either boring, short or plainly bad. You can't keep up writing quality with so many stories and the budgetary limitation a video game has. Not to speak about the limitation because it needs to fit into a game. In Persona 4 it feels like the quantity was the primary focus, when it comes to the social links with a few hidden gems in between.
But that's just how it goes! There's always a gap between a man's dream and cold hard reality.
The conclusions of the social links story is the biggest letdown. Many characters and where they started. Yukiko, for example, is the heir to a family inn. And during her story she doesn't want to inherit the inn, and at the end she doesn't want it again.
Oh yes, I'm still studying. Cooking and job licenses. I don't plan to leave anymore, but I thought I might as well.
If you want to start playing Persona 4 yourself, you should be prepared to a long intro and you should change the difficulty. When you start, you can choose between easy, normal or hard, but in-game there are more options, and I advise you to at least set money on easy, because how much money and to some extent XP you get does not increase the difficulty, it increases the grindiness. You just have to beat up more enemies, and the combat and enemies are so boring you don't want to do that, believe me. Also, the game could be better localized in one aspect. The questions in class have some very specific questions about Japan. I would not be able to answer, even if I know a thing or two about Japan. It is not that important, but I wanted to include this. Don't feel bad for not knowing the answer to those. I think it holds up well in 2020, and the port to PC is really good. I had no crashes and no bugs at all. You should give Persona 4 a go, better than rebuying Persona 5 for the full price with only 20% more content. Okay then, farewell.
Well, until we meet again, farewell.